Hey everyone, and welcome to the Jack of All Trades podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Musso, and today I'm super excited to be back with my second ever guest episode. So I would like to toss it to today's guest to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Aidan. I also go to Husson University and am a senior in the live sound program, and it's nice to be here with you, Kaylee, today.
Also, fun fact for anyone that doesn't know, Aidan is our editor, our podcast editor.
I am, yes. I sit through every episode before you guys hear it, usually listen to it 2 or 3 times going through and making it sound good for you all.
So how does it feel to be a guest then on the show that you edit?
It's interesting. I don't think I've really sat down before and done a guest segment with anything before, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think it'll be fun.
You feel like you're on a radio show?
I do, yes.
We're recording
sitting
in a radio.
The studio with,
Yeah.
with 2 microphones facing each other, it does feel like a radio.
It does. It feels really official, but that's one of the perks of being on campus recording. So let's start with how we met, which is in pep band. I went to a club fair my first year at Husson when I transferred, and there was this guy at the table, not Aidan, someone else named Sam, and he was like, "Hey, do you play an instrument?" And so I ended up showing up to the first rehearsal, and someone was like, "That's our band president, Aidan." So Aidan is the president of pep band. You play trumpet.
I play the trumpet, yeah.
Yep. And how long have you played that for?
I've been playing the trumpet since 4th grade, and I'm a senior in college now, so can't do the math that quick.
A long time.
Yes.
A long time. I started playing flute in beginning of 5th grade, so about the same time. So if you guys haven't figured it out yet, this episode is going to be about kind of all things band related, but especially marching band, because Aidan, you were in marching band just in high school, or?
Yep, just in high school. Well, sort of, I mean, you could say in middle school, too. I joined the high school marching band while I was still in middle school. I joined the high school marching band in 7th grade, so I had 6 years of it through my local high school. Yeah, and the program would take 8th graders, if older siblings were in the band or something, and the way I kind of got into it was the high school would run a summer band program every summer for local middle school kids, and I had done that the previous few summers. And I can't remember exactly how it came about, but after the final day of the week of the summer band camp, I ended up talking with the band director and basically talked myself into joining the marching band somehow. Like I said, I don't remember the story exactly, but it was something along those lines.
Well, this will be a little teaser for later in the episode when we have some fun band camp stories coming up. So stay tuned. But first, I want to talk about pep band a little bit at Husson. You kind of not created it, but reinstated it, I guess. Do you want to tell everyone like the brief story of how that happened?
Sure. So I restarted the pep band a couple weeks into my freshman year at Husson. After doing some looking around online, discovered there was previously a pep band through Husson, but for several reasons it had no longer existed, and myself and a few others decided that we were going to try to restart something. We started about halfway through the basketball season, ended up with a group of probably 7 or 8 kids, and played the last half of that basketball season and have been growing and playing at more things since then.
Didn't someone discover like a band closet too? That was
Yes. In our rehearsal space at school, there is a closet in kind of the back of the room that has all of our gear in it that we didn't know existed until one of our friends found it, and then we were like, okay, this is going to be a little bit easier to start now that we have half the instruments we need.
Yeah, which is really cool. And when I transferred in sophomore year and joined, it was kind of like the first full year of like a little bit bigger pep band and kind of getting in the full groove of things after like the startup year. So it's been really fun. I thought I was done playing in band after high school. I didn't know I would have the opportunity because Husson's not a massive college. I mean, it doesn't have a marching band. It's a small thing, but it's fun.
Right, yeah. Husson itself is only just shy of 4,000 kids. And as Kaylee just mentioned, I kind of thought I was going to be done with trumpet for the most part after high school as well. It was actually my mom who kind of was like, oh, you should start something, you should get something going. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't really know anybody else that's coming here, don't know how to go find people that play instruments, but it all worked out. And here we are today, sitting here recording this episode.
Yeah. And it's cool that it's cool to start up something like that. And it's cool that it's entirely student ran. I mean, we kind of govern ourselves in that sense. And so it's fun.
Right.
So our band backgrounds are a little different because you went to a larger school than me, or if not larger, it definitely was larger. How many people in your graduating class?
My graduating class was, I believe, 525.
Okay, so that's, yeah. And mine was 70 something. So
So my school I'm from Connecticut, and my school was big for the area. The school itself was just over 2,000 kids when I was there. And as I mentioned, I did graduate with just over 500, which is a little bit different from Central Maine.
Yeah, small Maine town, 400 kids at my high school, maybe a little less. And so I was lucky to even have a concert band, but it kept getting smaller and smaller, and I was the only flute player my senior year. We kind of sort of had a pep band, but not really. It was more just my band director trying to recruit people to play these one-liner little pieces of music, and nobody actually showed up. That's my the extent of my pep band or marching band experience, or lack thereof. You, on the other hand, what did you have at your school?
We had a pretty in-depth band program at my high school. There was the marching band in the fall after school. In the spring, there was jazz band after school. And during the school day, you could, as a class, you could take either concert band, symphonic band, orchestra, or percussion ensemble.
Wow, that's extensive.
Yeah, we were lucky. We had quite a few choices to take within the music department throughout our 4 years there.
So then marching band, that was an extracurricular, right?
Technically it was a class. We did get class credit for it, but it did meet, as I mentioned, after school and not during the school day.
Okay. Interesting. I never knew that. Is that common for it to be a class? You get credit for it at other places?
That I'm not sure of. I know at my high school, obviously it was, and at other high schools in the area, I do believe they get credit for it. I know some actually have it as a class during the day, but as I mentioned, it depends on the school and depends how everything is structured within the school.
That would be interesting, math class, science class, time for marching band, back to history.
Right, or looking out the window at the football field during your science
see a
class,
bunch of tubas run.
and the band's out there, practicing their sets for the show.
Yeah, that would be funny. So, I had never witnessed anything a live marching band in person ever until I got to go with you and then our friend Sam. We all went down, was it 2 years ago maybe? Not this fall, last fall maybe.
Yep, last fall.
And there was it's called the NFA Classic, is that right?
Right, yes. And NFA is the acronym for the high school I went to, and our home band competition is called the Classic.
Yeah, and your younger sister was a senior, so she was actively in the marching band.
Yep.
So that was cool to see.
Yes, yeah. I have a younger sister. She's 3 years younger than me. And as Kaylee just mentioned, the year we went to see it, she was a senior that year, and it was her final home show, and it was good to be there for her and everybody I still knew from the band, and was fun to watch.
Yeah, so I had never seen anything like that. And so the whole experience for me was kind of crazy. And what's interesting is me going down there versus our friend Sam, who is from Texas, and in Texas they have massive marching bands, way bigger than what you have in Connecticut. But I was just blown away by all the shows there, just watching it, and versus Sam was like, this is small compared to what I'm used to, you know? So the whole experience was like really cool for me to see. I was smiling the whole time. I was like, this is so crazy. And it would be interesting for me to feel what it's like to be a part of that, because it's so foreign to me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in Maine is not, especially, central Maine up to in northern Maine, it's, the schools are smaller and it's usually they don't have something to the extent that we did. And as Kaylee mentioned, our friend Sam that also came with us, he's from Texas and he's used to bands that are 300 plus kids apiece. Whereas my marching band in high school was usually anywhere between 80 to 90 kids apiece on any given year.
My concert band was like 10 kids, if that matters.
Yeah. Different in Maine.
Yeah. So can you explain to everyone sort of what a typical season of, I'm assuming it's like a season?
Right, yeah. So marching band, pretty much anywhere you go, is done in the fall, usually to coincide with football. And what most people might think of when they think of a high school marching band is the band playing in the stands during football games and the band playing at halftime for football games. In most cases, there's a lot more to that. At my high school, it was a competitive marching band, and there were 3-4 dozen other schools in the area that were also competitive marching bands, between Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and even getting into New York and New Jersey. So a season for us would span roughly from July through November, December, depending on the competition schedule for the year. In July, we would have a few rehearsals just to become familiar with each other and familiar with the music. And in August is when the season would really start. A few weeks before school would start, what we would do is we would have 2 weeks of band camp, which happened at the high school, and they were from Monday through Friday for 2 weeks from 9 to 5 p.m., doing everything marching and everything music related. And what was fun with band camp was on the second week, the last 3 days, I believe it was, we would go on what's called a retreat. And we actually went to Rhode Island for this, but we would go basically rent out a camp, stay overnight at the camp for 2 nights, I think it was, maybe 3 nights. And during the day, we would paint a football field down in just a big grass area. And we would rehearse we'd wake up in the morning, we'd eat breakfast, we'd rehearse, we'd eat lunch, we'd get a break, we'd rehearse, we'd get dinner, we'd rehearse again until we can't see.
Wow.
And then we went to bed and did it all again the next day. But also while we were at retreat, we did have time for some special traditions and whatnot too that are long-standing in the band and special to each member. And that would be kind of the end of band camp. And then after that, what our program would do, and each school at this point and going forward would have, their schedule would look a little different depending on the program. But for us, we would start rehearsing 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 5 to 8 p.m. And then on Saturdays, we would usually have a 3 or 4 hour rehearsal until the competitions started. Competitions would always be on Saturdays, and they would be pretty much a full day event. We would get to the school in the morning, have a quick rehearsal for any last minute things, get on the bus, go to wherever we were competing. When we got there, we would unload the truck, unload the buses, and we would rehearse some more, practice some more, polish up little things, head over to the football field, march on, perform the show, march off, get changed and whatnot, and then we would sit in the stands, watch all the other bands, and then at that point, it was time for awards, so awards would get done, and then we would all pack up and go home, and have Sunday to rest up, and that would continue. Usually a season, we would have 8 or 10 competitions, and on top of that, we're doing football games, the parade here and there. Yeah, it would be a busy fall into winter for the 6 years I did it.
That sounds intense. So you basically have like no weekends free.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much no free weekends, especially no free Saturdays for the good part of August through late November, if not into early December.
And so you did play at football games too, in addition?
We did, yes. In some instances, if it was a Saturday football game and a Saturday competition, what would happen is we would perform halftime at the football game, walk off the field, get on the buses, load the truck, and head right to the school where we would be competing and do it all again. And then, not get back to the high school until 11 p.m., midnight, depending where it was.
That's crazy. I don't know if I could do that, honestly. Like, you really have to be an athlete. I mean, talk about what it takes to be in the band, like, doing those routines.
Yeah, so it is very physical, more so than some may think. Through my high school, we did actually have access to our athletic trainer and things like that, because it is very athletic. If you think about the people that march around with the drums on them, some of those drums can weigh up to 50 or 60 pounds, and they're, marching around with them for 9 or 10 minutes straight, while also having to play and having to do certain movements, which we call visuals, to enhance the visual aspect of the show. In some instances, we're even running on the field. Also, let alone the air and lung capacity it takes to play the instruments while also marching. And it's a lot physically.
And coordination. I mean, you have to, like, do these little steps with your feet and stay in your formations and sometimes, like you said, do some different moves while also playing notes. And you're memorizing this stuff, right?
Right, yes. So we have 8 or 9 minutes of music that we have memorized on top of different spots on the field we have memorized for the 8 or 9 minutes of music we have to play, on top of staying in step with each other, making sure all of our lines are straight, diagonals are straight, while also, watching the drum major, make sure we're all still in time. The drum majors are the ones conducting, while also listening to everybody around, making sure we're in tune, fitting in. It's a lot.
And you were a drum major, right? For 1 year, 2 years?
1 year, yep. So my senior year, I was a drum major. I did not march on the field for that show. I did not play trumpet for that show either, but I was up on the podium, and I was one of the 2 drum majors that year conducting the show. We basically got to lead the show from the moment we set foot on the field for a competition and from the moment we left the field.
Is that a lot of pressure? Because you're the one, like, making sure everyone's staying in time.
Right, it is and it isn't. Once you get the whole show on the field, you get to run through it a few times. You really start to kind of settle in and lock into a groove. But during rehearsals, when you are working to get the show on the field, it is just a lot of repetition, and more repetition. And through that, it can be tiring and it can be a lot to do. In some instances, I honestly thought it was a little bit easier than having a spot on the field and playing, because I'm not having to memorize all of our drill, which is our spots on the field. I'm not having to memorize all the visuals. I am memorizing music, but only to conduct it rather than play it, which in my experience is a little bit easier. So from some aspects, it was a little bit easier. From some, it was a little bit harder. But overall, being a drum major for my final year was a good experience.
Do you have a preference? Like, did you prefer your position as drum major, or did you prefer being on the field?
I liked both of them. I think by the time my 6th year did come around, I was ready to get off the field and ready to do something else. Being on the field for 5 years, it's a lot. I mean, even for the kids that would do it for 4 years, it's a lot. But by that 6th year, I was ready to, kind of take that next step as a student leader, and get up on the podium and do everything from a different perspective for my final year. It was certainly a nice change, I think, to go through my last season.
Your arms get tired?
They do initially, but then you get used to it.
Because it really kind of is like, it's some of both worlds. It's music and it's a sport at the same time. And like our friend Sam, he's talked about having to run laps with the drum on at like really early in the morning around the football field. And that to me is just, I can't think of anything I would want to do less than that.
Right. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people, I think, don't understand the physicality of it and the amount of strength physically and mentally that it does take. It to put on, a complex show like that, it does take a lot.
And it's teamwork too, because if one person is out of line and not, with the rhythm, it could cause a collision that messes up the whole thing.
Right, it is, and that's why in high school, attendance for rehearsals like this was taken seriously and it was stressed. Everybody had to be at everything unless you had a legitimate excuse. Our band director would always used to say that, pretty much the only reason you could miss a rehearsal was if you were in the hospital or there was a death in the family. That was it. Other than that, you had to be there.
Because if you think about it, it's kind of hard to rehearse when there's gaps and there's like important roles missing.
Right. The hardest part probably would be when we're on the field and there's gaps in the forms. You have your spot on the field, but you're using other people to help you get to that spot as well. And if the person next to you in the form is not there, well, how are you going to get to your spot if you can't, use them to get to where you need to be?
Right. And there's also other positions besides just like people playing instruments, right? What are the things called that they like spin and throw in the air?
In most marching bands, there is what is also called a color guard. They're the ones on the field that are in different uniforms than the band, and they will spin flags, they will spin rifles, they will spin sabers. Depending on the show, they may dance around or spin with some other object. For example, the year after I graduated, my high school did a Viking-themed show, and the color guard had Viking shields that they used throughout the show to enhance the visual element for the audience.
That's cool. You really have to like music if you're in marching band, because I feel like it's one thing to be in a concert band where you're just sitting and learning the music and playing it, but this is like another level of dedication. So I feel like you got to really be passionate about it.
It certainly is. Yeah. As I mentioned, for those couple months in the fall, you are all in, and that's pretty much all you do.
I think it's time to segue into my most anticipated segment of this episode, which is one time at band camp stories, because I can't tell you how many times, Aidan and our friend Sam, since they both had band camp experiences, would be talking with each other about, this one time at band camp, and it's kind of like a running joke. So I asked Aidan to come prepared with some band camp stories.
Yes, I have a sheet of paper sitting in front of me. I didn't want to come in with them in my head and then reach this segment and they would all go away from my head. But so
I'm excited.
To preface this a little bit, not all of these stories are from band camp. Some of them are from throughout the season as well. But some of them are from band camp. But I think they all hold their own in their own right. As I've mentioned, I have 2 years extra than what most people would. So I have, some extra stories. But to get started, this was on the very first day of band camp for my very first year. So I was in 7th grade, and I was at the high school I hadn't really been to before, in a group of 80 or 90 high school kids, never met before. And, they're at minimum 2 years older than me, at most 6 years older than me. So each day of band camp, schedule-wise, it would work a little differently, but one thing that was pretty consistent, there would be at least one block, if not two, during the day of a couple hours of sectionals, which, for those that don't know what that is you meet with your section, so in my case it would be the trumpets, and you would go and you would work on chunks of music just with your section in order to get nitpicky about certain pieces here and there. So this is 7th grade me. We had sectional in the choir room that day, which at my school was just upstairs from the band room. And I think the trumpet section that year was probably 10 or 12, somewhere in that range. Each section has 1 or 2 section leaders. That's kind of the first level of leadership role in the band, and they're basically in charge of the section, making sure everybody's where they need to be on time. They usually will run the sectionals, things of that nature. My year, I had 2 section leaders. Their names were Ryan and Marcus. They were both seniors, and I was just in 7th grade, and this was day 1 of band camp. Never met these people before. We're in our sectional. We're in the choir room. For a little bit of background, Ryan was a volunteer firefighter at one of the local fire departments. So having that role, he would have to carry a pager around on him throughout the day. So if the fire department got a call, his pager would start beeping and go off, and he was notified of it. And he would never have to respond during band camp, but just as part of the fire department, he would have to have it. So during sectionals, Ryan went to use the bathroom, and Marcus took over running sectionals. It was all fine for first few minutes until the pager, which Ryan kept in his backpack, started going off. And Ryan was still down in the bathroom, and, Marcus was like, okay, what do we do? His pager's going off in his backpack. Nobody has any idea how to shut it off.
He's like, guys, we got to go on this fire call right now. We got to go save somebody.
Right. His pager's going off. Nobody knows how to shut it off. And then Marcus, who was a little bit goofy, Marcus gets a brilliant idea that he's going to take the entirety of Ryan's backpack, which has, binders of music and stuff in it, and it's got some weight to it. Marcus is going to take his backpack and go down the hallway into the bathroom where Ryan still is, in a stall, sitting on the toilet, and Marcus is going to hurl the backpack over the stall door into Ryan's lap with the pager still going off. And they were both down in the bathroom for a couple minutes, and long story short, everything was fine. Ryan never had to go on the call, but he was not too happy with Marcus for a little bit after that moment.
I can't imagine why. I bet everyone else wanted to be a fly on the wall for that one.
Right, and for that to be kind of my intro into what would become my 6 years in marching band, that was quite the intro.
You're like, so that's what it takes to be a section leader. Got it. Okay. Right. Were you a section leader at some point eventually?
I was, yes. So my fourth year was 2019. I was one of 2 trumpet section leaders that year. And then the following year, I got bumped up to the role of brass captain, which basically oversees all the brass section leaders. So trumpet, mellophone, and low brass section leaders. And then, as I mentioned earlier, my 6th year, my final year, I got bumped up again to drum major, which was the top student leadership role.
But as section leader, you didn't dump any pager backpacks on anyone in the bathroom?
I did not. No, we
missed opportunity.
Myself and my co-section leader we kept things less goofy.
You ran a tight ship?
Yes, more so than Ryan and Marcus did.
So running a pep band now in college kind of is in your blood.
It is, yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm excited for the rest.
The next one, this was also during band camp, and this was, I don't remember what year exactly. It wasn't my first year, maybe my 3rd or 4th year, somewhere in there. Low brass decided it would be a good idea to try dead cockroaches.
Like eating them.
Eating them. And turns out you can order bags of dead cockroaches just to eat or do whatever you please with.
Feed your pets.
Right. Good source of extra protein, I guess. One of them, I remember in the morning, on the first day of band camp, showed up with a 5-pound bag of cockroaches. Now, you might think 5 pounds, it's not that much. In terms of cockroaches, it is. This was a big bag of cockroaches. And low brass that year was maybe 8 or 10 different kids. And they decided amongst themselves that by the end of band camp, so after 2 weeks, they were going to eat all of the cockroaches in the bag, which they did. They ate all the cockroaches, but, during band camp, they would go around asking other people, would you want to try one? Would you want to try one? Nobody did. It was just low brass eating 5.
You didn't try it?
I did not try any cockroaches. They asked me a few times. I was not interested, and they ate a 5-pound bag of cockroaches within a week and a half, 2 weeks or so.
Interesting. I feel like if I closed my eyes and just think of it like it's just like some chips or trail mix, and then if it's crunchy.
The crunch would be there, certainly. Yeah. The crunch would be there.
Maybe it tastes good.
Maybe.
But if I saw it, if I know like I'm eating a bug right now, I don't know if I could do it.
I couldn't do it. I don't think I could do it today.
No. And, hopefully there was no... Can you imagine if one of them got stuck in an instrument or something?
Right. I do have a story coming up about things getting stuck in an instrument.
Because you're not supposed to eat and play. I mean, like, people do, but after, like, over time, it can cause buildup in your instrument.
Right. Yeah.
We don't want cockroach building up in our instruments.
Right. No, that would not be good.
That's a good one.
So another story I have, let me look at my list here. Let's see. We'll go back to Ryan and Marcus for a second. So this was at the end of band camp my freshman year. This was at retreat, and all the guys in the band would stay in cabins. And the cabins would sleep, I think it was eight or 10 guys, depending on the size, in bunk beds. They were relatively small cabins, but we made them work. And Ryan and Marcus were in a bunk bed together. Marcus, who was a heavier guy, was sleeping on the top bunk, and Ryan was on the bottom bunk. Now, the top bunk the mattress was only held up by, a few wooden slats running down the length of the bed. And
I'm scared already.
If you were standing on the mattress, you could, pretty easily kind of fall through the slats, and the mattress would get wedged between them, and you'd have to fix them. And so anyway, this was maybe midnight, 1 a.m. or something, and Marcus is sound asleep on the top, and Ryan is sound asleep on the bottom. And somehow, some way, the slats under Marcus's mattress got shifted around, and Marcus and his mattress fell through the top bunk down onto Ryan. And Ryan, wakes up right away. He's now got a mattress on top of him with a guy on top of him. But Marcus does not wake up.
What?
Marcus does not wake up. So here Ryan is, and this wakes everybody else up in the cabin as well, except for Marcus. So here Ryan is stuck under a mattress with a guy on top of it, and the guy on top is still sleeping. Eventually, Marcus did wake up, and they got it all sorted out, but I was not in the cabin. I was in a different one, but I remember at breakfast the next day, that was the talk of the morning.
Oh, I bet, yeah. I mean, if I woke up to a mattress with a person falling on top of me, I think we'd have bigger problems. I don't know.
Right, yeah, I'm sure for the few minutes Marcus was still asleep, I'm sure Ryan was trying to figure out what exactly to do while he was laying there. Not very comfortable, I can imagine.
I mean, probably I wouldn't be too pleased. I'd be like, what kind of, you need to like stop thrashing around in your sleep so that your mattress isn't shifting around. Like, what were you doing up there?
Right.
Must have been some crazy dreams you were having.
Who knows?
That's actually wild. And the thing is, I like knew where that was going the second you started talking about it. I mean, I feel like, I've heard of people falling out of the top bunk, but
not through it. And
peacefully sleeping as they fall through onto someone else.
Right.
That's a different story. So hopefully he was able to carry on with his day afterwards.
I've never heard of it before either.
What an alarm clock, huh?
Yeah. Another story from the same retreat, and really all other retreats in general. The camp we stayed at had a dining hall that we would eat our 3 meals at, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everybody had to go to those meals. People also brought other just snacks and drinks and stuff for the cabins just to have, different hours when we were on break or after, before we went to bed for the night or whatever. Drumline, the people that would march around with the drums on the field, for whatever reason, always made it a point to bring cases upon cases of Mountain Dew. And drumline would always be in the same cabin. They would all be together. And my first year is when they had the most of it. And I walked into the band room before we loaded the buses to go to retreat, and, kind of in the back where percussion usually hangs out, there were enough cases of Mountain Dew where I think the individual cans totaled just shy of 400.
That's crazy.
So, 8 or 10 members were bringing 400 cans of Mountain Dew to retreat. And by the end of the 3 days, they were gone.
So 3 days. How many people?
3 days, 9 or 10 people, 400 cans of Mountain Dew.
Okay. Let's see how good my mental math is, right? Like roughly. So let's say 400 cans. We'll say there's 10 people.
That's 40 a person for over 3 days.
That's ridiculous.
Which would be just over 10 cans a day.
I hope their arteries are okay after that.
That was always the thing.
They're probably still buzzing from it to this day.
Right. Almost, what would that be? That'd be 6, 7, 8, 9 years later now. 10 years later. Still feeling it.
What a tradition to have, though. Like they could pick. What if someone doesn't like it? What if someone in drumline's like, I'm a root beer kind of person?
Well, they did have a few cases of Dr Pepper or something else, but the majority of it was Mountain Dew, and all the years I was there, the majority was Mountain Dew.
It's like their initiation ritual. They're like, you're gonna drink Mountain Dew and you're gonna like it. If you're on my drumline, you like Mountain Dew.
Who knows? Who knows? Another story, as I mentioned earlier, I did have one about things getting stuck in people's trumpets. This, again, is my first year, and also is the return of Ryan and Marcus.
Oh, boy.
This is not a band camp story. We were into the season. We had the show on the field. This was actually at a football game. In the show, my first year in 7th grade it was 3 trumpet solos in it. One was played by Ryan, one was played by Marcus, and the third was played by another senior in the trumpet section, who also happened to be named Ryan. So this was at a football game. We were getting ready to go warm up before the halftime show. We would always leave with 8 or 10 minutes left on the clock in the second quarter, go over to the parking lot, warm up before we went out to perform. Marcus, for whatever reason, thought it was going to be a good idea to pour a whole tin of Altoids down the end of Ryan's trumpet shortly before the halftime show, in which he has a solo. Because Marcus apparently thought, no, they're not going to get stuck. He can just turn the trumpet over. They'll fall right out. Wasn't the case. The Altoids got wedged down in there.
Oh.
Few falled out. Few didn't. So Ryan and pretty much everybody else at this point, knowing that we had to leave in just a minute to go warm up, started taking water and just pouring it down the instrument to try and dissolve all the Altoids, which didn't really work.
I don't know about that method. I don't.
No. So that didn't really work. What we ended up having to do was Ryan had to go inside of the band room, grab an extra trumpet, play the halftime show on a trumpet that wasn't his, and he ended up having to basically soak his trumpet down in a bath to get the Altoids to fully dissolve and get it back to normal.
That's crazy. Come on, Marcus. Do better. How did the band director feel about this situation?
She was not happy about it, obviously, as it was just a few minutes before halftime. And she knew as well that Marcus and Ryan always had shenanigans going on, and this was certainly one of them.
All I'm picturing is Ryan playing his trumpet solo and is like shooting mints out at people as he's aiming at different directions.
Right, yeah, that would have been funny.
You could do some crowd work, and you get an Altoid, and you get an Altoid.
Yeah, like a T-shirt cannon at basketball games or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been fun. Maybe Marcus knew what he was doing.
Maybe he had a plan. Maybe he had a plan in mind, but
just didn't go so well.
No, never worked out.
You got any more good ones?
I do. I have a few from my last retreat that I'll kind of combine into one. My 4th year, there happened to be more girls in the band than there were guys, which was the first time that had happened since I was there, which meant the girls got the cabins and the guys got what the camp called the retreat center, which was sort of like a college dorm setup. It was kind of one hallway that had different rooms, and there were 4 people in a room. So I was roomed with, we got to pick, and I was roomed with my 3 other closest friends who were all seniors, and I was a sophomore. We had some fun. One of the things was one of them decided he was going to try and shotgun a can of Diet Coke. So he proceeded to shake it up, and then he used a safety pin or something to prick a hole in the can, completely missed his mouth, and the Diet Coke sprayed up and shot all over the ceiling.
Oh.
The rooms were carpeted, so it came down, it got all in the carpet. And it smelled like Diet Coke in there the rest of the
Diet
retreat.
Coke rain.
Right.
It's like dripping from the ceiling.
Right, yes. And another story from the same room, one of the snacks we brought was just a bag of gummy bears. One of the other guys really liked them, so he brought it. And
solid choice.
One of the guys decides he's going to take the bag of gummy bears, put one on each cinder block, but in the center of it, he was going to write out "why not" with a question mark in gummy bears. So when people walk into the room and they see this wall of gummy bears and they say, "Why would somebody do this?" The answer is right on the wall in gummy bears. Why not? which it stayed up the 2 or 3 days we were
Like
there.
just sticking them on?
Right, you just sticking them onto the cinder block walls, yeah.
And it stayed.
And it stayed for 2 or 3 days, and we got quite a few questions.
Can't even be mad about that. Honestly, that's kind of impressive.
No, but then you can't eat them because they've been stuck to the
Yeah,
wall.
that was my other question. I thought someone liked eating these, so that seems like a waste.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably upwards of 60, 70, 80 gummy bears that we put on this wall, but couldn't end up eating them. Oh, well.
It's like a modern art display, though.
Right, yeah, it was. It was. The last story I have from that year was also happened in the retreat center with all the guys. Like a college dorm, there was 1 or 2 kind of central bathrooms. There were 20, 25 guys in the band, and we were all in this hallway in the retreat center. And this was kind of during our free time in the evening before we went to bed. We decided, for whatever reason, it was going to be a good idea to go down to the bathroom and try to fit all 25 guys into the handicap stall in the bathroom, which we did succeed.
25?
20, 25 of them in one handicap stall into the bathroom. We got to the point people had to stand up on the toilet seat, stand on the plumbing from the toilet that goes into the wall. But we did succeed. We got all 25 guys into the handicap stall with the ability to shut the door. And that was that. I can't remember why we decided to do that.
What an interesting use of free will.
Right, or what the goal there was, but it happened, and that was that.
Wow. That does seem like something that high school guys would try and do. I don't even know why.
Well, I think the leaders on that mission were the guys in low brass, and for whatever reason they wanted to do it and got everybody else to do it, and we did it.
And then you get in there and succeed, and you're just staring at each other like, well,
yeah,
okay.
Pretty much. And
guess it's possible.
Yeah, pretty much. And then,
good night, guys.
We went back to our rooms, went to bed, and woke up the next morning, had a normal day.
Low brass went to go eat their cockroaches. You guys went to go make your gummy bear displays.
Yep.
In the Diet Coke rain.
Right. All the things happening.
So basically, like, to recap, what I'm hearing is one time at band camp, Marcus fell through a mattress, and everyone eats cockroaches, and 400 cans of
Drumline
Mountain
drinks
Dew.
a lot of Mountain Dew.
And then we shoot Altoids at people from our trumpets. Am I missing?
No,
anything?
You got it.
We put pagers on people's laps while they're taking a dump,
Right, that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah.
But outside of all the funny stories that happened, band camp and marching band in itself it's something I really enjoyed. I did it for 6 years, so I would hope I liked it.
Yeah.
There's friends you make that I still talk to them today, and they're lifelong friends. I mean, you're forced to spend that much time with each other. You better like the people you're spending time with. Some of them, you'll go separate ways, and that will be that. But some, you stick with them, and you make friends for life, and they're friends you're never going to lose.
That's cool. No, I feel like I definitely learned something from this episode, and I'm sure that everyone listening did too, because whether you're part of the marching band world or not, I feel like there's always something you can learn about how another school does it or another instrumental section, whatever it may be. So hopefully everyone enjoyed the stories, but also the explanations.
Right, yeah. I hope I gave you guys a good summary of what marching band looks like, at least in the Northeast. It's different if you go to Texas or out west or wherever, but in the Northeast, it's all like that, and every band's going to do it a little differently, but we're all doing the same thing, going for the same goal. We want to put on the best show we can for the audience at football games, competitions, things like that, and goofy things happen along the way.
So I'll ask you the question that I asked Izzy that I think is going to be my question for every guest. And it is, if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be? And it can be you last year. It can be 5-year-old Aidan. It can be marching band related. It doesn't have to be.
This is going to be both a little bit marching band related, a little bit not. But I would say one thing for me that I'm kind of coming to realize now is that I wish I would have taken the time to appreciate things when I was there, more so than when I did, so that I cherish them a little bit more than I do now. Because when you're in the moment, sometimes you might not think that 4 or 5 years from now you're going to want to look back on it as much as you do, but then you get 4 or 5 years from then and you wish you had more pictures or better memories of whatever the case may be. So I would say, to my younger self and to anybody really that's listening, to your younger self or to you now, is as you're going through things and as you have what you think might just be, little things, take mental photos, take actual photos, something in the future, 4, 5, 10 years, 20 years even, that you can look back on that gives you a better sense of what things were like then.
Yeah. That's really good. That's why I take so many pictures. That's pretty relevant for me because I've been kind of thinking about that a lot lately as it's my last semester here at Husson, and there's a lot of things that I look back on even from just my few years here where I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that dynamic that was like at this given time, like it wasn't going to stay that way for forever. And now it's like, it's kind of a ticking clock of I only have a few months left here and I'm trying to soak everything in because it helps you put in perspective like the things you complain about or the things that you're like, this part of the experience isn't good. But later when you look back on it, you're going to be like, you know what? Like overall it was fine. And I wish I would have, instead of complaining or focusing on the negative things or things you have to do that you don't want to do or you're tired or whatever, like overall this experience is something you're not going to get back.
There were plenty of rehearsals that I did not want to be there.
Exactly.
And that I was like, well, do we have to do this? Just to myself in my head. But there were also plenty that I did appreciate being there. I appreciated everybody around me and whatnot. As you just mentioned, I wish that I would have kind of not had that attitude towards it and appreciated it a little bit more than I did to have, a better memory of it. Not that I don't have a bad memory of it at all, but just to improve the good memory that I do have of it.
Right, exactly. And kind of the same for me when it comes to, for me in my major, I'm focused more on live production. So when I have to go do these narrative film shoots that I don't want to do and I'm complaining about it, I've been trying to kind of reframe it like, I get to do this right now. And this might be the last semester ever that I get to use all this lighting gear, use all this camera stuff, like film my own, because after I leave here, I don't have that stuff anymore. And who knows where I'll end up. So rather than, dreading every film shoot and being like, oh, this is awful, I should be like accepting it for what it is and being like, this is the time in my life that I'm at. And I'm going to miss this in a few years when I'm looking back being like, wow, I wish I would have not complained so much.
Right. I always, think of it as time flies. You're here. You're in the now. You got to take things as they come and appreciate things as they come. Because like you said, a couple years from now, you're not going to have those things. And all you're going to have is memories of them.
Yeah. Good job. Are you going to be excited to edit this and listen to your own voice?
Yeah, I think it'll certainly be interesting. As I mentioned at the start, I've always been kind of behind the scenes. I've never really had an active role as a guest in this or something else, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun. I think as I'm listening through, I'm going to hear myself say something and think, why did I explain it that way? Or why did I say that? Whatever. But it is what it is, and I'll get through it, and after I do, you guys will be listening to it.
Yeah. And I'm glad you came on as a guest. Hope you had fun.
I did. Yeah. It was fun being here. It was fun talking about my experience in high school with marching band and experience here, starting the band here. I'd be happy to come back at any time to talk about whatever.
Well, maybe we'll have to make it happen sometime.
Yeah. Either a part 2 to this or we come up with something totally different.
Absolutely. Aidan wears a lot of hats, so...
I do, yes. For those that know me, as Kaylee does, I am always running around doing something. I'm never bored.
Kind of a jack of all trades, just like me, just like this podcast.
All right, yeah, good connection to wrap it up and bring it in. That was good.
Full circle moment. Anyway, unless you have any last comments.
I don't think so. Again, just thank you for having me here, and I enjoyed being here.
All right, well, I hope you guys, wherever you're listening to this, enjoyed. Make sure you all share this episode with your family, with your friends. Go find someone and make them listen to it because we had a lot of fun and I'm sure people can learn from this one. So thank you for listening. I hope you guys are having a great day, a great week, a great weekend whenever you're listening to this. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.